Hello everyone all around the world, wherever you're watching. I'm Jonas and welcome to our next live AMA. We can call it an AMA or a live stream or just interaction, time to be together. I'm so happy that you're here. Thanks for being with us. And so we have a bit of a variety menu prepared for this evening or this morning or this afternoon, depending on where you are. Sorry, I'm at night here where I'm streaming from. In Asia, so that's my time zone. So I'm just going to jump right in. There's going to be a few different things. For one, we're going to go over a new roadmap, which has just been put up on the website. And for another, we're going to talk a little bit about the upcoming event, the Ocean Summit in Dubai, and some of the other happenings that are going on. However, for this evening, we have a little sort of feature section. So this is a format which I hope all of you guys can give feedback on if you like this. But so I've been working on a number of blog posts, and so for our sessions that don't involve an interview with one of our partners and so on, we thought, well, let's go over some of these things in case they give you a bit of food for thought or they give you some content to share with your friends, with your teams. That's the idea behind this. So this time, it's about the general concept of the metaverse. So I'm going to go there now. Just a moment here. I'm even a little bit in the picture there. So not long ago, I came across an article and it had this picture on it. RIP Metaverse 2021 to 2023. So clearly, the tech world is driven a lot by hype. So there's a lot of hype, it's the trends. For a while, of course, way back then, it went from Bitcoin to ICOs, and then it went to, much later into NFTs. That was a big hype. Everyone was all worked up about that, and then that kind of dropped a little bit, and then we had other things. So this article kind of brings out the idea, well, the metaverse, just another one of these kind of tech hypes that people get all riled up about and all excited about, and then it kind of fades away quickly like some of the other ones. However, I have a different mindset, but I'm going to play the devil's advocate to start with here, and I'm going to go over some of these claims. So first of all, okay, is it just a passing fad? Is it another example of hype and now it's fizzling out? Or are there some fundamentals that can be applied to making informed predictions, right? So are there actually some toned down, not intense, not worked up, not hyped up stories about the metaverse that actually talk about realistic impact on our future? So some people talk about metaverse in terms of gaming, virtual worlds, experiences. It was really hyped up naturally during COVID because people are watching virtual concerts, they're having virtual meetups. All of this seemed to sort of trigger this idea that, oh, wow, this is where we're going. And then probably people wanted to meet face to face again, or things fizzled out a little bit and they slowed down, they calmed down. And so here we are. We have this article, And so what are the premises? And by the way, I just want to say, this is a little caveat on the subject of Metaverse. The blog post that I wrote about Metaverse has been put up on our Medium channel already. So you can go read it there, glean other information from it or whatever. But this is sort of a visual friendly version of it, let's say. So what is the rationale? When people say, the Metaverse is dead, that was a passing fad, it's going away. Well, one of the reasons they say is, well, Meta, which is actually Facebook, the mother company of Facebook, sort of renamed itself Meta because it really wanted to stake its claim to being the metaverse company. And Facebook has had a period of time now where they're really struggling to latch on to the next great thing, right? And so they put out this whole point about metaverse, and they were selling Oculus goggles, and they still are, but it's been a little bit underwhelming in terms of the metaverse by Meta or Facebook. So yeah, fair point. And some of the metaverses got less than expected use. You know, there's been some layoffs in Metaverse departments of big tech companies. Now, you can't, okay, I won't get into trying to defend the points. I'll just present the points that this is some of the arguments that are presented out there about Metaverse. Okay, and some non-tech companies have stopped or discontinued or paused their Metaverse ventures for now, right? Because everyone was getting into it. All these brands were getting into it. This is what is being claimed. And this is what was in this article. And of course, we've got a whole brand new hype now that really seems to be taking the tech world by storm, and that's AI. Of course, everyone talks about ChatGPT, OpenAI, all of these things, and Google got on the bandwagon. In fact, they were actually leading the way, but somehow ChatGPT sort of snuck in there, and Microsoft took it over. And so there's all this hype about, wow, AI, that's the new hip, cool thing, that's the new trend. So does that mean that the metaverse is dead? How are big companies and top analysts approaching this subject? So this article that I showed you a screen capture of, it was published in around May 2023. So it's pretty recent. And so it was interesting to me to do a little bit of research. Okay, well, let's get up to date. Where is the tech world at now when it comes to Metaverse? And we've found out that there's quite a lot of things going on in the Metaverse, right? You've got Nike has surpassed 1 million in sales. Now, I think probably the text is a little bit too small for all of you, but this article that I captured that image from is dated May 26th, 2023. So that's not old news from 2020 back in COVID and all this. This is very current. This is right now. And also, they made a casual 185 million selling virtual shoes and other things in the metaverse. We've got Pepsi moving into Web3 through its unique metaverse experience. We've got Microsoft still sticking to it. This is from 2023, not from 2 years ago. This is current. And it's talking about committing to the industrial metaverse. And that's a very interesting thing we're going to talk about a bit more in a minute. We've got McDonald's, Pepsi. So these are non-tech companies, non-tech brands still entering into the metaverse, right? And that article is from May as well, this year. Okay, here we've got the construction industry getting into metaverse and really exploring this as a new direction. We've got fashion brands. They're still doing Fashion Week in the metaverses. In this time, since that article was released, well, lo and behold, Apple announces their VR headset that's coming out. Okay, so there's all kinds of debates about it and all this stuff. But the fact of the matter is saying that the metaverse is dead a little bit of an overstatement, maybe? Like, I don't know about dead. Maybe it's slowed down. Maybe it's sort of settled down, but it certainly isn't dead if you look at these articles and ventures and activities and revenue and actual income coming from metaverse ventures. So there's stuff going on in the metaverse. It's not dead at all, as this article alleges. So here we go. Let's look at some actual numbers, okay? Real numbers from June 2023, this month. There are 148 virtual worlds active or in development in the metaverse. That's saying here, as you can see on the screen, that in Q2 of 2023, the number was 68. So in the time between Q2 of 2023 to Q3 of 2023, this year, it's more than doubled. That doesn't look like dead to me. There are currently 400 million monthly active users in the metaverse. Yes, maybe there's a bit of drop. Maybe some things were a little disappointing, etc., etc. But that's a lot of active users, and we're still very, very early on with the metaverse. Now, this is a little older. However, at that point, already last year in November, it's not a long time ago, it's not, it's 6 months ago, at that point, $1.9 billion had been spent on real estate in the 10 most popular metaverse world, with the highest sales price being $5 million. Now, I don't personally think that these people just throw money around freely and easily. These people put money into things that they believe are going to get a return, that are going to make them some money back. Okay, so this links very importantly to what we're talking about here in MetFi, right? In MetFi, we're talking about Metaverse and Web3. And it says here that of the current active virtual worlds, 83 of them are based on Web3 technology. So this is not sort of a separation of the two, or Metaverse is way over there and Web3 is way over there. There's some difference between the two. However, these are very much meshed together. And so it's an interesting thing to consider when we're looking at this industry in general. So here we go. The number of active wallets in the sandbox within May 2023, not old news, not from 2020, now, here, last month, the active wallets increased by 40%. And prior to this latest sort of bull run that we had based on the Bitcoin rally, it's been a pretty tough year for cryptocurrencies in general. But even then, the number of Web3 gaming projects has increased by 31% at the time of the writing of that article, which is about May. So we're talking about a lot of growth in this sector, raising the question, is the metaverse dead? So what I want to highlight here is that it's also a matter of interpretation. So what does metaverse really mean? Like, what are we really talking about? Are we talking about just the gaming world? We're just talking about VR goggles for kids to play games or enter into these things? Or are we talking about a new technology that's going to impact a whole lot of industries and a whole lot of areas in our world in the future? Because if we're going to just judge our assessment or make a judgment about metaverse based on Oculus and Meta and Facebook and their success, well, chances are that's not a very complete picture. Some people would predict that Meta as a company or Facebook are actually not going to be main lead players in the metaverse of the future. They may not, but we can't make a judgment about metaverse based on the company Meta or Facebook itself either, right? So here we have a very helpful infographic about the metaverse, which explains a much more complete, comprehensive picture. So it goes down from experience to discovery to creator economy to spatial computing to decentralization to human interface to infrastructure. We're not talking about a linear thing or a shallow thing, just about, get your VR headsets and go into these virtual worlds. We're talking about things that are impacted with experience, yes, sports, theater, esports, gaming, shopping. It's very helpful if you have virtual reality to do shopping online in e-commerce. But then we go to social curation, ratings, stores. These are all under the category of application, products, and operation ecosystems. Creator economy, design tools, assets, markets, work. So we can see that VR or the general idea of metaverse is very helpful and very relevant in the creative economy, in creating things, and then you've got computing, which is all under the other category over here of development tools. And we've got AI. It's not either or. It's not like, okay, so there's AI and there's metaverse and they don't meet. No. In fact, metaverse and AI are very much interconnected. And we're seeing that happening so much already. We've got blockchain. So in decentralization, we've got microservices and blockchain. In human interface, we've got haptic gesture. So that's, of course, how things interact based on the VR space. and wearables, and then you've got infrastructure. So we're talking about a lot of layers and a lot of sectors and a lot of industries. And this is not some no-name nobody that came up with this infographic. This is sourced from Deloitte Research and Analysis. And if you know about accounting, you'll know that Deloitte is one of the big four accounting firms. They put a lot of money into their research because they're a huge company and they need to stay abreast. They need to keep their finger on the pulse of what's happening in technology because that's where the economy is going to go. And here we've got another interesting infographic from ABI Research. So it's evaluating enterprise metaverse opportunities. And it's separated it in this case into 3 categories, right? So 3 categories. There's the consumer metaverse. You know, it's virtual spaces, you know, it's entertainment, it's experiential stuff. And that sector actually doesn't have an amazing prediction as compared to the industrial metaverse on the right-hand side of my screen. So the consumer metaverse will be affected by consumer appeal. And it's reliant on trends and network effects, right? There's still a predicted growth curve happening there, moving towards 2030. But whether or not Meta as a company ends up being a big success or it flops, that doesn't mean that Metaverse is dead or dying. Then there's the enterprise metaverse, which is the business value-driven metaverse, solution and device innovation. This has good monetization potential with growth, and they're anticipating or predicting that it's going to start growing and booming from 2025. Then you've got the industrial metaverse, and this is where things get really exciting and interesting because you're talking about something which is referred to now as the digital twin. So basically what that means is it's like an avatar, but it's not in a game. This is in real world functionalities. So like if you're the foreman and you need to visit a remote construction site, well, your digital twin in the metaverse would go to that construction site. And it would go through the simulation and all of these aspects of the industrial metaverse. And you can see on the curve there that it started earlier. And it has high monetization potential with early traction. So you're seeing that in that area, it's expected that it's going to happen a lot faster and a lot bigger. It's going to go higher and wider. So when we talk about metaverse, this is what we're talking. We're talking about a holistic picture, the whole idea of what the metaverse is, not a certain sector or not just gaming, for example. And here we have another one from Deloitte Research. So it's giving a more complete picture of the consumer industrial metaverse. So you've got the consumer metaverse and you've got the industrial metaverse. You've got on the consumer side, concerts, short videos, movies, games, art shows, social. So that sort of side where you're kind of experience things in virtual, right? But then you've got on the other side here in the green, healthcare. You know, people are going to be able to do surgery remotely through metaverse tools. Transportation, education, we've already seen the impact and the potential impact on education, even in an imperfect scenario with remote learning, you know, and that's just going to develop more as the technology catches up and gets wider in terms of usage. And then you've got industry as well. So these are the whole pictures related to the metaverse, you know, where it enriches real experiences and it creates new virtual experiences. That's on the consumer side, but on the industrial side, it generates new industries to create real value. So we're talking about a driver, an economic driver, not just something that you take and use, but something that drives innovation and drives businesses, right? And here we have another huge company, PwC. It's a competitor to Deloitte. So the reason I'm bringing all these on here is because these are massive, huge players, billion-dollar companies with a lot of money put into research all over the world. So these are maybe people we want to be listening to more than just some individual reporter on some some site that wants to do clickbait, they're saying, PwC is saying, businesses will be the metaverse power users. So that's really where the industry lies. That's where the money lies. Generative AI and XR will be metaverse BFFs, best friends. So it's not AI and metaverse. It's together. They connect. We're talking about the metaverse will redefine every business leader's agenda. That's a massive statement. So is this an area that we're excited to be in? And somebody who's a CTO of Power and Utility says all new things are scary at first. We have to experience and allow trials to convince people that the metaverse is here to stay. And this president of a technology industry company says those companies that do not adopt the metaverse early must make greater investments to try to capture market share. So if you can imagine, if you're an industry where you have to hire thousands of people, maybe tens of thousands of people, you have to have all sorts of physical locations all over the place. Now, that people power will definitely be needed, but if you can reduce some of your fixed costs by using virtual reality, which is expensive, but in the context of a massive, massive billions of dollar operation, that's something they're going to be looking at. That's something they're going to be wanting to get into. And here we have McKinsey. McKinsey is one of the top 3 consulting firms. So there's a top 4, big 4 accounting firms, of which Deloitte and PwC are part. And then there's a big 3 consulting firms, global, massive companies, put huge amounts of money into research as well. Not silly little kids thinking about new ideas. These are serious people, and they last year released a 77-page report entitled Value Creation in the Metaverse. And you've seen some of the numbers they're putting up here. This is McKinsey. I didn't create this infographic or these artwork pieces. $120 billion investment flowed into the metaverse so far in 2022. And we know that in this year, there's a lot more. 79% of consumers active in the metaverse have made a purchase. So this is a space where there's money being made. Maybe the traffic isn't as much as it will be, or it's not as much as some people predicted, but the people that are there, they're spending money. And more than 15% of corporate revenue is expected to come from the metaverse in the next 5 years, according to 25% of senior executives. So what McKinsey did is they went and they interviewed a whole bunch of executives from a whole bunch of different industries, all kinds of people all over the place, and interviewed them about their predictions about the metaverse. It wasn't a couple of guys at McKinsey itself sitting down and coming up with ideas. This is actual hardcore research with real people. And these people, 25% of senior executives are making this prediction. So that seems to me fairly relevant. So that's the main thing I had as far as the metaverse. I hope it's not too technical for you or dry or whatever, but I thought it was interesting and stimulating to sort of explore the whole metaverse thing, because I was a little bit taken aback, and I've heard from more than one source about this whole thing about metaverse. It was a passing fad. It didn't live up to its billing. It's not really going to go there, And then, so I'm like, okay, well, metaverse is pretty important when you consider that that's a main sector that MetFi is involved in. And I found it very encouraging and very heartening to see that the people that probably know a little bit about this stuff are making pretty different predictions from that. And there's a lot of money still going in, not just from tech companies, but all kinds of companies. And in fact, another little tidbit of information, probably some of you know if you've been following the markets, NVIDIA, which is a graphics hardware company, they make the gaming cards, the graphics cards and the gaming computers and all of the laptops that we use. There's 2 main competing companies. There's NVIDIA and there's AMD, right? So NVIDIA has been having incredible explosive growth in the last couple of months. mainly because of the fact that they're one of the main players bringing computing power. And so that relates to AI, which is a huge trend right now, but it also relates very, very much, more so even, to Metaverse, as well as Web3. All of this involves computing power. That's essential. That's crucial to the whole thing working. Okay, so now I'm going to take us away from the whole topic of Metaverse, and we're going to go into another subject. And I hope that you'll be able to see this on your screens well, but if you don't, it's a really easy thing for you all to go and see for yourselves, and that is here. This is the BSCscan of the MetFi token. And what we want to point out here is that now there are labels affixed to the tokens, right? To the contracts and the wallets. So here you can see in this pie graph, this blue area is very big, you know, and so some people who are uninformed might be concerned by that. Oh, what's this huge wallet? Who owns that? Who controls that? What's that? What's going on with that? Well, it's labeled here, if you can notice, where it says MetFi staking rewards. So this massive contract, it's actually not technically a wallet. It's a smart contract because that whole wallet is controlled by a smart contract. And if you go into the web page itself, you'll notice that there's this little icon next to it, which says, there's a little icon which represents a contract rather than a typical normal wallet. So this very, very big wallet is the MetFi staking rewards wallet. That's where all of the staking gets paid from, this wallet. And at the time of every halving, every 6 months, when those halvings happen, then the recycled MetFi that are not allocated to other things based on what the tokenization document says, and the article about that says, but anything that's recycled, well, it goes right back into this staking rewards wallet. It's not controlled by individuals. This is controlled by smart contracts. The second biggest wallet is this one. It's the MetFi Vault. So the MetFi Vault is a wallet which has MetFi allocated for the future. And it is, of course, controlled by majority voting of the MetFi community. So in other words, for example, if there's going to be listings coming up, which inevitably will happen when there are listings in the future, well, we're going to need to allocate tokens to the liquidity pools of those exchanges so that that functions well and smoothly, so that they have liquidity. So there's a fairly sizable amount of tokens that are in the MetFi Vault. It's a reserve wallet. It's the MetFi reserve wallet for projects and things that are needed in the future. Not the investments, of course, because that's different. That's in the treasury based on the funds that everyone contributes through business building. But the vault is specifically the MetFi that's allocated. So in the future, if another tier 1 exchange wants to list MetFi, well, we've got tokens that the community can vote to allocate towards that. And then this third wallet, this green one, so a lot of tokens are just in these 3 wallets. And this is also a contract. It's the staking wallet. This is not controlled by any one person. This is the wallet where everyone's staked tokens are. Where people have their staked tokens are this. So that is also not available for any person or any group of people to be able to mess around with. That's a wallet that's controlled by a smart contract. So if there are ever any questions, okay, well, how does the MetFi token function? What are the tokenomics? Well, the easy thing is just simply to go to MetFi's token address in BSCscan and go here and show them either this pie graph or the list of token addresses down below, And you can simply explain, okay, well, that's what this is, that's what this is, that's what this is. And this is important because in a typical token scenario, in typical scenarios that you see out there with crypto projects, there'll be wallets, maybe not quite that big, but there'll be pretty big wallets, and this is the creator fund, and this is the influencer fund, and this is the seed round fund, and this is the early investors. This is all of these kinds of wallets that are involving getting that project off the ground and getting the funding. But that never happened with MetFi, and this page right here on the external, not controlled by us, BSCscan, proves this point. It proves where all of those tokens, where the whole token supply, almost 500 million MetFi tokens are, and what contracts and what wallets they're allocated to. So if you will allow me to here very quickly go back to my presentation so that we can review this. Staking rewards contract, tokens reserved for staking rewards, MetFi Vault, set aside for community approved purposes like CX listings in the future. And the MetFi staking wallet is where all of everyone's staked MetFi are held, right? We've already gone over this, and so everyone understands that clearly already. So, a little bit of a recap with the Ocean Summit. I have one new item to share with you in the form of a sneak peek, I guess you could call it. The leaderboard has been developed. It's already active. I don't think it's active on the site yet, but the leaderboard is functioning, it's moving, it's going. We've got someone already ranked number 1 down to number 10. This is just a screen capture. It's not an active web page that I'm going to. This is a screen capture. You can see that first rank has 12 points already. The second rank has 8 points already. 7, 7, 6, 6, 5, 5, 5, 5, 5. So, and they're this month because the leaderboard calculates based on this month. Right? So everyone got this sort of extra benefit, this extra bonus of being able to count towards their first month ever since the 18th of May. So it's all considered as June's volume. So that's a great head start that everyone's already got, and that's why these points on the leaderboard have already achieved that much, because it goes back not just to the beginning of June, but to within May as well. Now, as you recall, the requirement, okay, so these are the ticket types, and I'm giving a little bit of a pitch here because there is still an active early bird price happening right now. Early bird price of $250, a 50 USDT discount on silver VIP tickets, and a 150 discount on the gold tickets, and a 400 USDT discount on the platinum VIP tickets. So we want to be grabbing those tickets while they're there. It's just a couple more days now. All of the tickets are available for purchase. That's active on the oceansummit.biz site. So that's something that everyone should be looking into, don't you think? You want to be thinking about grabbing those early bird tickets now. Tickets have been sold somewhat. There is a limited supply. You don't want to wait and let them run out and let the price go up. Now's the time to grab them. And maybe a little bit more relevant to our meeting today is this. Remember that if you want to make use of this promotion of qualifying for a free Platinum VIP ticket, then you need to purchase a Platinum VIP ticket before the end of this month. Now, if you qualify in the 100 top achievers, you will get that reimbursed. But there's nothing to reimburse if the ticket hasn't been bought. So that's something you want to be grabbing very soon right now while the price is lower. And remember, for everyone that wants to qualify and appear on the leaderboard, so it is a performance leaderboard. You know, it goes from top to bottom. The most with the most referrals within this period of time up until the end of August. It's 100 people. You know, even if you've qualified but you're not in that 100 people, well, unfortunately, that's the limit on this promotion. So in June, you need 2 NFT number 4s or higher, right? Personally referred, and that dates back, like I said, to May. In July, you need 2 or higher, and in August, you need 3 or higher. So the person on the top of that leaderboard who already had achieved 12 points, well, that actually doesn't mean a qualification, because there is a monthly performance requirement for this, and that's important. And remember, and this is also important, to qualify as a star achiever number 1 or above before the 31st of August, because that's also part of the requirements, right? This is silly because I've got the wrong heading. I slapped this together really, really quickly to do this, and I forgot to change the heading on top. I apologize for that. However, I'm going to take us to a web page first. That is the updated roadmap. So you can see here, I hope you can see it clearly. This is on the regular MetFi.io public site. It's not the DApp. This is available to everyone. This shows where we're at in the roadmap, what has happened and what is happening. Of course, we're past 2022, we're into 2023, and we're currently right around this Q3 mark, okay? So during Q3, there's some key things that will be achieved. So I'm going to go back to my PowerPoint because it's a little bit more readable. Please disregard the heading. That's wrong. Sorry about that. But yeah, so here we have it. A little bit more readable, hopefully, for all of you. First, in the second quarter of 2022, that was the launch, one of the biggest smart contract deployments in history. You know, there was a big token burn. In the third quarter of 2022, we had the first CertiK audit, and MetFi managed a top 10 most watched project status. No, sorry, top 10% most watched project. And our first investment in big time. Now, if you haven't had a chance to go and watch the AMA that I did based on mostly questions that the community asked, well, do go head over to our official YouTube and you can see an in-depth idea about big time, where they're at, where they're going, how things are progressing. It's pretty exciting because that's an investment the whole community took part in, right? There's the listings. Then we, in the fourth quarter, released the NFT marketplace, and 3 investments happened there: Angel Block, IMEX, and Sona, right? Now, first quarter of 2023, we've got some more auditing by CertiK, and MetFi gets ranked in the top 5%, the top 500 of projects listed. So that's pretty awesome too. There was the liquidity lock, there was a lending and borrowing platform, there was this was a big quarter because that's where we've got the multi-sig treasury tracker, that's where we've got the MetFi token listing on MEXC, and we also invested in 2 more projects, the Sandbox and Evermoon. Now, here, in the second quarter of 2023, then we did the major switch. We had to switch over from BUSD, had to backtrack a little bit, recalibrate, replan based on external factors, but we're all still here, you know, and that's when we switched over to a fixed max supply, and the base rate halving project started. The first one happened in the second quarter. And recycling started. The meta quiz was launched. So this is all very recent. And also, of course, the listing on Gate.io. Now, this is what we're moving into. This is the future, right? In the third quarter of 2023, there's going to be a veto button for the community. This was something which needed a little bit more time. You know, and forming a gaming guild. That's very essential too, because we want to make best use of our big time holdings. are benefits there, and also there's the sandbox. There's all these places where we want MetFi to be active, not just as investors, as a body of investors, but also as active users too. Now, here we've got the influencer star ranking pool in the DApp and more investments in Web3. So this is kind of where we're at right now. Okay, this is what is currently happening, present. It's on the horizon really, really soon. And this is the adjusted roadmap for that. Then here we've got the fourth quarter, which involves treasury claims for NFT owners and various functionalities that make it easier, like onboarding wizards for Web3 projects, new members, member visibility of investment applications. So all of these are experiential things that make your user experience improved. And that's where the Ocean Summit will fall in Dubai in November. Loan offers added to the lending platform, more investments in Web3 projects. So there is an ongoing commitment to Web3 and Metaverse projects, investments, and also to creating a better user experience for everyone. Some of the things had to be shifted a little bit to make use for the most recently voted upon thing, which is that we want to enlist the services of some more developers who can help us with developing a new project, which is going to be very interesting for the whole MetFi community. It will be gone into greater detail in the future, but it's a very exciting one for everyone involved so far and those who have been able to take part in discussions. The MetaBid project. So that's kind of been bumped up as a priority because having MetaBid involves real-time revenue, sort of like short-term gains for everyone in the community. We want to keep focused on the long-term things, but we also want to have ongoing income, commissionable volume that everyone can benefit from in the short term. Okay. Let me just see here. All right, so now I'm going to go into a few more ideas, right? A few more ideas that we can be looking at in the future, right? The ability to, these are potential ideas. These are not enacted. These haven't gone active. They haven't happened yet, but these are things that are being discussed in the idea stage and will be sort of formulated into votes that everyone can take part of. But the developers asked me to share these things with everyone so that everyone is kept abreast with what's potentially on the horizon, what may happen up ahead, right? So being able to communicate more efficiently within the system with your referrer and possibly upline in the ecosystem. Collectible NFTs, this is a potential product in the future. It needs to take shape. Right now, our NFTs are very much utility NFTs, but there could be hybrids, like sort of both utility and collector, and just various ways that the whole NFT idea could be explored more, because it's one of the things that's going to happen in the future more and more. Push notifications, staking. Now, if any individual person wants to stake Ethereum, it's very debilitatingly expensive. You have a sort of an access point, you have an entry point, a minimum amount that you have to stake in order to make use of that benefit. And most regular people, just like they can't get in early on Metaverse or Web3 projects, they don't have the liquid cash, the investment capacity to go into ETH staking. However, as a community, as a DAO, if that's a direction that everyone wants to go, and if we decide to do so, this is a potential thing that could happen in the future, whereby as a DAO, we could go into Ethereum staking and everyone gets to share in those benefits. And then that also would link to other staking protocols as well. There's other projects that give good staking rewards. Proof of stake is the more popular verification method for blockchain now, so that's another potential thing that could come up. So that's all I have for us in terms of my prepared materials. I hope that's been helpful. Please communicate within the Telegram groups and the various communication channels. If, for example, maybe you would like some of those slides to be able to share with your community or with people or with the doubters, if there's doubters about Metaverse and so on, well, it helps to be, to have a bit of ammo on where things are viewed from more professional, strategic type people, big players. And I'm going to head over to the chat here. Very active chats going down right here. We've got hellos from all over the place. Nigeria, Finland. Okay, thanks so much for the friendly greetings and nice words, the kind words. Already a question here by Larry Diggs. Can you share the slides in Discord? And thankfully MetFi DAO has responded, yes, Larry. All right, well, I'm going to make it into a PDF, just the relevant section about Metaverse. I'm going to make that into a PDF that can be made available. This shouldn't be considered an official MetFi document or anything like that. It's just an information pack. It's just information that's made available from various reliable sources online. Thank you, Merck Peter, too. And we've got a lot of comments here from our team. Recycle MetFi goes back to the staking rewards contract. Every 12 hours, MetFi tokens are sent from the staking rewards contract to the staking manager, which is where MetFi is staked to NFTs. Right? So that takes it from that big, huge wallet to the staking wallet, right? Leaderboard is on the Summit website now, but, okay, so sorry, that's a bit of added information. You can see the leaderboard in the site, the oceansummit.biz site. However, you need to have bought a ticket in order to see it. First place has 12 points. All right, so there are many people who have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points, and some with 6, 7, 8, and 12 points. Right, the competition is wide open competition, folks, and we hope to see you there. Q3 will have MetaBid and Plankton NFT. Sorry, that's one little thing I forgot to mention, the Plankton NFT that everyone knows about from the vote, which is basically just an access NFT, super accessible to anybody. If they just want to get their feet wet, they want to learn a little bit about what MetFi is, well, just 10 USDT for a Plankton NFT, and they can already stake and have the rights of a shrimp, except that they do not have the matrix rewards or the other referral type rewards. They only get to benefit from staking benefits. Here we have Slavomir Masula commenting, sounds great. The DAO could set up the staking nodes and let MetFi stake smaller amounts. Yes, exactly. Hi from Poland to Peter. Hello, Peter. All the best from Croatia. Thank you for today. Well, for my side, I'm content. I hope I haven't carried on too long. Someone did sort of comment to me that maybe I should try to make it a bit shorter. I apologize if it was too long. I did have kind of a lot of content, and I did want to emphasize the importance of explaining things in sufficient detail so that everyone can benefit from it. Thank you so much for taking part in discussions. Thank you so much, MetFi DAO person, for responding and commenting further in the chat. And remember that this is basically a regular fixture. The goal is to do a YouTube live session and maybe stream on other platforms as well, if there's other preferred platforms that you may have, on Tuesdays at that same time every week. Now, the exception to that is, in many cases, when I do an interview with our partners, the different projects that we've invested in, it's often not very convenient for them to go into a live session. There are difficulties with the time zones and office hours, and maybe they're schedules and so on and so forth. So far it hasn't really worked out to make that actually live, but we will continue to try to do those with the different partner projects that we're involved in. And so I would very much appreciate if anyone shares any questions or things that you have. And so in the event that we have that kind of interview going on, well, we probably wouldn't do a live session that week because like last week, we would be doing that offline and then preparing it and then releasing it on YouTube. But my goal, unless anything unexpected comes up, is to meet with all of you weekly in some way, shape, or form in this way. So thank you so much, everyone, for being with us, and have a wonderful, amazing day or night wherever you are.